Camera Club was founded in 1957 and exists to promote the arts, science, and education in all aspects and fields of photography. For more information about us, please visit www.arundelcameraclub.org. And if you're watching us live or catching a recorded session, we'd love to invite you to join us in person. We meet every Thursday evening at 7 p.m. at Severna Park Baptist Church in Severna Park, Maryland. And boy, 4 hours ago, I thought we were going to have to cancel the meeting. That snow was coming down like crazy. We got all the officers on the line, and by the time everybody started replying back, it's melting already. It was crazy. So 82 yesterday, freezing today. Welcome to Maryland, of course. Do we have any announcements from our officers? Yes, Ed, come on up.
Well, this Sunday, we have a wonderful visit to the Jericho Mill. It's established in 1772 before the United States. So it has a smokehouse. It has all the different amenities, and there's also a bridge, a covered bridge there. So there's a lot of opportunities for a lot of different events. So it's 1 to 4 this Sunday. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Ed. Gives us over to Christine. Any other announcements from officers? Yes, Nancy.
Okay. I missed a couple meetings recently, so thank you for Kathy and Greg and Sue Weber for helping me with refreshments of Green Star.
Yes.
Tonight we have mint brownies and other things.
Nancy has just announced that we have mint brownies for St. Patrick's Day. And cookies. So a big thank you to Nancy and a couple of other people, Kathy and Sue Weber, who helped kind of fill in for Nancy. We have the best treats. You need to come in and join us here in person. Any other announcements from officers? Announcement from MPA? Okay. And do we have anybody joining us for the first time tonight? I don't think so. Any members have any personal announcements to share, such as having work published, accepted into a show, winning an award, or other photography milestones? Maybe next week. Okay, well then let's turn it over to Christine to look at our upcoming schedule, and then we'll go over to Ron and our judge for tonight. Hopefully we have Zoom working now, so we'll see.
Well, I heard a giggle from Zoom, so that's
awesome.
Usually a good thing.
That's not a normal notification from Zoom, so that's good.
On March 15th, we have our field trip to Jerusalem Mill Village with the covered bridge. On March 19th, next week, is our presentation by Bob Weber on abstract photography. March 26th is our next open print contest. And April 2nd is a program by Oliver Assis on travel photography. April 9th is the next digital contest with a theme of abstract. And then the week after that, April 16th, is our photo walk to Jonas Green Park in Annapolis. So that night we will not be here, we will be there. And we'll catch dinner together afterwards somewhere.
That's also a 6 p.m. start, I believe,
Yes.
for the photo walk. As long as it's good weather, we're probably going to even get up there maybe an hour or two earlier. So if you got the day free, come on out and get a good parking spot and join us. We're going to set probably some lawn chairs up and just enjoy.
Right. So join us for that. And then I will hand this evening over to Ron to tell us about our judge for tonight.
And a couple other just quick reminders. So I see a number of questions I've gotten about the MPA black and white contest coming up. So we're in the middle of the submission period through the 31st. So that's not that far off when you get down to it. I don't know about you, but I'm having a hard time really going through these because the competition is stiff, but we've had winners just about every year from the club here. So I really hope that we get some good representation. And a couple things about that is your MPA members, you use our code. If you're a Arundel Camera Club member, you use our code and you get 2 free entries. 2 more entries will cost you just $15. The $15 is the only income we get out of this whole contest, and to be able to operate that, that would kind of help the organization. If you go ahead and if you think you have 4, go ahead and put 4 in, and it's only $15 more. So the other, one of the questions I had just this evening from somebody whose name will not be mentioned so that can remain a secret anyway is, does mono include sepia? And the answer is yes. So it's black and white or sepia. Anyway, it's cyanotype, exactly. So any of that is working. A lot of the judges kind of go with, just from my opinion, go with black and white classic. But if the sepia really supports it, it's a really good choice. I've not seen any to date, and I don't think very many of our own club contests. We've had cyanotypes. Did you have any winners of cyanotypes?
Not winners, but I've
Okay.
entered them.
Well, that's not saying they're not good, and you don't want to turn in something that everybody else is doing. So, keep your mind open on that. Now, a couple other quick things. The Odyssey of Light, April 11th. That's a Saturday. And make sure you get your submission in on that, your tickets. I think you get $20 off for it if you use your code that I provide. It's the same code for the contest, or club code, okay? And last two things. This is our last open digital contest for the year. So the good thing about digitals is these could be anything that you tried to submit an earlier contest and maybe went back and did some more work on, or just are plain resubmitting them. But this is why at this time of the year, it's a really good time. But that's also true the print contest coming up. If you've had some that you just really felt it ought to have a chance, keep that in mind. Now, think about this. We got all of our contests done. Then we go this month, we get into abstract next month. But all along, hopefully, everybody has been taking your winners, prints, and putting them off someplace and not changing the mat and not reprinting or anything, but you have it in a shelf someplace at home so you can start bringing it into us. So we'll need to collect those all together to be able to have all of those in one place for the end of the year print contest. The end of the year digitals, Mike takes care of those, so nobody has to worry about it. If you've submitted a digital, he has it on record, so we're good there. But please keep in mind that if you've had any prints that you did something with it accidentally, I hope you didn't edit it, didn't change the mat, anything. And we know that it's the right one if on the label on the back, Bob's signature or my signature or Fred's is on the back of the print. That's how we know it's the original and hope. So, all right, sorry I took more time than I planned, but looking forward to this evening. Pete Morton's an old friend. He's going to be our judge this evening. You see him up here. And Pete is affiliated with the Silver Springs Camera Club, an old-time member there, but he also has a broad palette of photography, different subjects. Pete, I think you've done some model work too for portraiture. Okay, and so he's had a broad set of experience, which really helps when you're a judge and your ability to point up things that to us when he reviews the images. Pete's always been very good. If you remember, you'll hear his voice and it'll ring back with you. He takes a lot of time and talks through the details on it. He's very positive and help you to try to get the image someplace. And I'm going to throw in a plug at this point for you to think about. In judging, we will give you feedback about the image, how it could be improved, and so on and so forth. But there's also another thing to think about too. Sometimes the composition or some other features, the matter of fact is the picture isn't really coming together. So, and the good advice sometimes, and Pete's used this advice, and I have too, and sometimes it makes a photographer mad, but basically pick up your camera and go back to the place and rethink it. Somebody told me that this weekend over a picture I took, that I can't go back to that place. But that's sometimes a story. You can Photoshop it all you want, but in the end, sometimes a picture is better if it's another picture. So don't be insulted by that advice too, because you don't see the flaws in your own work. And I'm the first one to admit that. That's my biggest flaw. Somebody showed me something the other day. I didn't see these white footprints in paint on the sidewalk beside this pair of shoes. It was an integral part of the picture, and it just I totally lost it. And all of us judges, and Pete, you've done that too, I'm sure. You miss something that's really critical. So I'm not going to tell you a lot about Pete. I'm going to let him tell you about what he's been doing lately, A, and B, I'm going to let him tell you a little bit about what he's going to be looking for when he judges. Okay, Pete, it's all yours.
Thank you, Ron. And Ron is exactly right. We're friends. We go back a about is, what are the emotions that it gives me? What is the impact of the image? And the emotions can be anything. It can be that I think it's funny, that I think it's sad, that I think it's scary. Anything that evokes an emotion is an impact that is quite important in photography. And for images done by the novice group, I look especially for originality. I also think that it is great for new photographers to be willing to take a chance. Doing yet another beautiful flower is good practice, but it's not really taking a chance. And so I really encourage everyone to branch out, try things. It doesn't matter if it wins first place or not. It's helping you grow. For intermediate or unlimited categories, I still look for originality, but I also am concerned about the technical aspects, more so than for the novice categories. And I expect the technical aspects, the post-processing, the camera settings, to really be at a high level. Now, everyone, even judges, have biases, and we all try very, very hard when judging not to have those biases have an impact on us. But nonetheless, it's important, very important, for you to realize that the person who really needs to like the photograph is you. So it's good to hear input from others, but I encourage you to listen to the input, my evaluations and comments, as well as those of others, and decide which ones you agree with, and take them to heart and ignore the ones that you don't agree with. So that's basically the bottom line of how I judge. Ron asked what I've been doing lately. I've been very involved with PSA, and have been managing some of the international photography competitions. And those are quite interesting. There are some worldwide photographers whose work is just extraordinary. And so it's a real honor to be involved in that. Next year, I will be the director of the division that does competition. So that's going to be quite a challenge. And with that, Ron, I think we're probably ready.
Okay, John, let's let Pete know the number of images we're looking for.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, let me get this over here. Thank you, Susan, for printing out the list. We have, for our novices, Pete, we have, let's see, 39 images. That'll be a first through fourth and 4 honorable mentions. Now, what we'll do is,
You said first through fourth?
yes, sir.
Okay.
Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up Lightroom on my screen. You should be able to bring up Lightroom and the images on your screen. That way you have them in as high a quality as possible.
Yep,
And
yep.
what I will do is I will read the number and the name and go through all of those first. And then once we have all 39 images shown, then I'll go back to number 1 and turn it over to you for comments.
Sounds good.
Okay, let me bring that up on my screen so that I can read it, hopefully. Okay. Number 1, Polar Star Roses. Number 2, Fountain Pilgrimage. Number 3, El Moro. Number 4, Under the Hanging Stars. Number 5, Window Seat. Number 6, Haynes. Number 7, Ascent. Number 8, Military Conflict. Number 9, Playful. 10, Intense Stare. 11, Take 5. 12, Moody Autumn Stream. 13, Strange World. 14, Philly Hoagie Shop. 15, Snowy Day. 16, Blocking Out the Sun. 17, Pumping the Brakes. 18, Denali. 19, Potomac Ice Drops. Number 20, Savonarola Chair Mystery Face Mono. Well. Number 21, Stresa Summer Train Station. Number 22, Ren Fair. Number 23, White Sands. Number 24, Savonarola Chair Mystery Face. Number 25, Bay of Fundy. Number 26, Fierce Protector. Number 27, Asymmetry. Number 28, New Mexico Birdscape. Number 29, Water Glass Full of Treasures. 30, Watching You. 31, Where Have All the Flowers Gone? 32, 2026 Ford Mustang. 33, Ecuadorian Woman Who Has Seen a Lot. 34, Lead Singer Don't Back Down Band. 35, colored candy. 36, a breakthrough. 37, feed me, please. 38, Little Falls Rapids. And 39, Emergence. All right, I'm going to zoom all the way back down to number 1 for your comments, and then in or out, and then we'll move on to the next one. All yours.
Great. This is a lovely picture of the roses, and I think monochrome was exactly what should be done. The processing on this is really quite nice. You've managed to keep the texture and the whites and still have the ability to see the stems. I think this is quite well done, including the 3 roses. It matches what's recommended in terms of having an odd number of subjects, and I think their position is excellent. Things that I might consider. There is a very small at the bottom bright area between the stems of the left 2 flowers. I would darken that. But beyond that, I think the cropping is excellent, and I want to leave this one in.
Number 1 is in. Number 2.
This one, at first, I wasn't sure what I thought of it, but I decided that the water fountains made quite an interesting frame for the person in the background. I like the fact that the person is almost a silhouette against a bright wall, which lets her stand out, which is quite important in this image. The cropping, by including almost all of the water fountain, and the one large water fountain that's close to the photographer, starts almost at the corner of the photograph, which is an excellent place to do that. I did find that this was an appealing image, but it's not one that I would want to come back to and see over and over. It needs a little bit of a story or something even a little more unusual. I think part of it is that the trees in the background almost were too sharp. It would be nice to have those blurred to keep my focus even more on the woman. So let's take this one out.
Number 2 is out. Number 3.
Interesting. When I saw this, I wondered if it could be 2 different images by cropping differently. The area over on the right, the city with obviously a beach in front of it, could possibly be an image, and the structure we're seeing with the ocean behind it could be another one. I would like to have the ocean itself, including the waves, have a bit more contrast. I think the fact that we are at an ocean location is quite important. Also, the structure that we're seeing could possibly use a bit more contrast itself. It seems a little bit flat, but the image is overall quite interesting. I find there's so much to see, however, that I'm not quite sure what to look at. My eyes tend to go to that small, I'm not sure what to call it. It almost looks like a little steeple in the dead center of the image, and the walls sort of lead my eyes in that direction. But for now, let's leave this one in.
Okay, that number 3 is in. Number 4.
Great location. And the stars, the decorations above the street really make this photograph. The photographer did a beautiful job getting the lines, leading lines, pulling your eye back deep into the picture. I think the colors, particularly in the building on the left, are outstanding. They really make the image. I'd like to be able to see something as I look down the street. All I see a mass of people, which is fine, but it would be great if there were something for me, something specific to focus on. Another thing that the photographer might consider would be cropping just a little bit tighter. There is a wall on the right side of the photograph and something that looks like just the tip of something over the window on the left side of the photograph, that if you crop down just a bit, we wouldn't have those two items. It was well seen, but I think, as Ron had been talking about, if you have an opportunity to go back to this, I would spend some time standing there and waiting for something in the distance to really stand out as a focal point of the image. So let's take this one out.
All right. Number 4 is, let me get that working. Number 4 is out. Number 5.
Taking photographs from airplanes is challenging, and this one turned out quite well. I think the mountains are interesting, but what makes it, in my opinion, are the clouds. The clouds right behind the wing are really very nice, and they make it a 3D image along with the wing itself. So we have the wing in the foreground, the cloud seeming like it's in the midground, and then the mountains in the background. You might consider cropping on the right just to shorten the amount of wing that we're seeing, particularly the sort of elongated cone-shaped object. If that were cropped out or even erased, that wouldn't attract my attention as much. And the real focus of the image to me are the clouds, the tip of the wing, and certainly the mountains in the background. So let's leave this one in for now.
All right, number 5 is in. Number 6.
Beautiful area. The photographer did an excellent job positioning him or herself, and the mountains and the sky are nicely handled. If it were my image, I would consider cropping a bit off the bottom. There's probably a bit more water than we need, and the water isn't adding a huge amount, although we need enough so that we're grounding the photograph. I would also consider slightly darkening, particularly the water that's closest to the bottom edge after you have cropped. The sky is nice. I would even consider adding another depth to the sky with even more colors. I think that's nicely done with the sky. I'm wondering if the image was sharpened beyond what it needed. The water has a texture that doesn't quite look natural. But overall, it's such a gorgeous location and such a well-handled image that let's leave it in.
6 is in. Number 7.
I love this. I had mentioned originally creativity and originality, and I think we've all seen a lot of hot air balloons, but I don't recall ever seeing one like this. Showing what I assume are parts of the flame or smoke from the flame that's raising the balloon and showing the inside of the balloon is very nicely done. I debated about the little bit of sky that we're seeing in the bottom right corner. Typically, little triangles in the corner any of the corners will attract more attention than the photographer actually wants. It might be feasible to crop it so that that doesn't show up there, but even with that, it's a very well done image. The colors are brilliant, and the focus and depth of field are nicely handled. Let's leave it in.
7 is in. Number 8.
This one is quite a photograph. When I looked at it, I tried to decide what what does the photographer want me to look at? And initially I thought, I wonder if it's the face of the rustler at the top. And I decided, no, you really can't see the faces. And what the photograph is really all about is the wrestling and the angles and the intricate interaction of the two men, the the legs going up into the sky and down to the ground and behind the wrestler, as well as the arms, really make the image work. So I like this a lot. I like the fact that the background has been blurred and somewhat darkened. I would consider darkening it even just a little bit more, perhaps especially around the area behind the rustlers. But it's beautifully done. The cropping is excellent. So let's leave this in.
8 is in. Number 9.
Fascinating and beautiful. I think the first thing I thought of when I saw it is I wondered if it was upside down, because we just aren't used to seeing these animals in this particular direction. But the tentacles are excellent. They add a lot of interest and pull the three jellyfish together. I also thought that the handling of the lightest tones was well done. They're light, they aren't blown out, there's still detail in them. It would have been nice if the nearest jellyfish had been tack sharp. Um, it's not particularly on the edge that's closest to us, but that's very understandable. So let's leave this one in.
Number 9 is in. Now number 10.
And wow, this one I think if there was an image that yelled eyes, this one is it. It's well captured. The beauty of the eyes, the intricacy of the eyes, the even the small lines inside the eyes almost seem to duplicate the fur patterns. Really well seen and well done. It's rare to take an image this close and have it be so compelling. And it means that the photographer had to crop or be so close that many of the components of the cat aren't included. I mean, we cut off the ears, we cut off the neck, even the whiskers don't all get included, but it works. It was very clever and very nicely done. So let's leave this in.
10 is in. Number 11.
Interesting. Um, very hard to get images like this. The parts that I found particularly impressive were that the horse's hooves were and legs were showing the motion, and yet the riders and the horses themselves appeared to be quite sharp. The one area that I would have liked would be that the closest horse, the eye of that horse, is not real sharp. The focus seems to be on the second horse, the farther away horse. I'd also like just a little more room behind the lagging horse so that the complete tail was in place. The background I would consider blurring or darkening even more. The problem that I ran into is that I wanted more separation between the riders, particularly the back rider, and the buildings in the background. Darkening the background would help alleviate that issue. So let's take this one out.
Okay, 11 is out. Number 12.
Beautiful area and such a great little waterfall. I think leaving the leaves and the rocks and the particular cropping of this image was nicely done. It's fun and actually works quite well to have the bottom of the waterfall flow out of the picture, out of the frame, as long as you include the top so that we see what's feeding the waterfall. I would even consider brightening the top area so that we see what's leading into the water coming down. The brightness of the waterfall and the shutter speed is perhaps a little bit long. Um, I really like having a silky waterfall, but it's often good to have just a little bit of texture, which I think this one could have benefited by a little more texture so that we could see some of the lines, some of the distinct lines in the brightest area of the waterfall. But it was very well seen and well captured. So let's leave this one in.
Okay, 12 is in. Number 13.
And since I remember the psychedelic days, I first saw this and wondered if they'd been eating some of these mushrooms. They're rather spectacular. The to say it's original is certainly an understatement. I found the colors outstanding. It really drew me in, particularly to the mushroom itself. I did find that the what I assume is snow on the bottom left was a bit overpowering. Um, the brightest part of an image tends to pull one's eyes to that area, and that's not really the area of interest. To me, the area of interest is the mushroom with all of the vivid colors and the grasses on the right and even on the left. So perhaps cropping or at least darkening the snow, um, I think would benefit this image. You could crop fairly significantly on the left and just a little bit on the bottom. But let's leave this in.
13 is in. Number 14.
This one, I think I would have named it 1495. It was an interesting capture. The thing that made the image to me was the smile of the man on the bottom left. The the image was amusing because of that man, but it's not an image that I would come back to see over and over, or one that would particularly hold my interest. It needs something going on other than a picture of the man's face and the hoagie's menu. So let's take this one out.
14 is out. Number 15.
Intentional camera movement is fun, and it can often be fascinating. This is what I would actually consider a relatively typical use of ICM. The most common use that actually works seems to be of trees, and that's because it works nicely to be able to move the camera in a vertical position. Black and white works extremely well for this. It may even, it's a little hard to tell, it may have a little tinting, but it emphasizes the lines and the textures. I struggled initially to decide what the photographer wanted me to focus on, and I decided the two darker trees toward the middle front probably was the closest area for me to lock my eyes on. Um, it's an image that feels like it's not static. it's quite dynamic, which is a characteristic of ICM. It's not one that is what I would consider relaxing or peaceful, but it's one that has a certain amount of interest because of the lines and patterns. So let's leave this one in.
15 is in. Number 16.
I thought the capture of the sun was well done. The rest of the image, I think the darkest of the branches and the one long branch toward the bottom that's not dark work well to show where we are and to almost loosely frame the sun. There are parts of branches on the left side that I would really consider erasing or removing. I see the one on sort of in the middle on the left, a lighter one just below that, and a lighter one below the dark one that to me detract from the image. They pull my eye down and they aren't particularly interesting. But I thought the photographer had an excellent idea. I'm not sure that it quite came off, but I would definitely encourage her or him to keep going with this approach. But for this one, let's take it out.
16 is out. Number 17.
Perfect timing. Wow. This one was, I thought, really excellent. The thing that I was most amazed about was the rope and how the photographer had left that rope as sharp as it is, as white, it really stands out. This is, I'm not sure what the photographer did to the ground below the horse and the calf. It looks, I'm not sure what to call it other than a little strange, almost like it's a bed of earthworms or something. But I think the position of the calf with either all or almost all of its feet off the ground and the excellent timing to catch the horse stopping at that particular moment were excellent. This is another image that I would strongly suggest playing with and darkening and even slightly blurring the background to bring even more attention to the rider, the horse, and the calf. But it's very nicely done, very dynamic, and the timing is just perfect. So let's keep this in.
17 is in. Number 18.
This photograph confused me initially. I found that the idea is wonderful. It has a strong foreground, a middle ground of the dark green trees, and the background of the mountains. One of the things that I would consider is if I were taking this image and could do this, I would use a telephoto to compress the distance between the trees and the mountains and have the mountains be more prominent. It's an interesting scene in that it has the three layers and the sky is very subtle and nicely handled, but it doesn't give me anything other than the mountain that I really want to focus on, and the mountain is such a minuscule part of the photograph. So let's take this one out.
18 is out. Number 19.
Interesting and very well done. The idea that we're looking at ice on the Potomac, I thought was very wise of the photographer to go out and take these photographs. They're startling. I would really have loved to have the ice drops that are closest to us be super sharp like some of the other ice drops, but the fact is that the depth of field just didn't allow that, or there was motion. I couldn't tell which. But I think that the concept and the idea of doing something different is absolutely praiseworthy. The flow of the river and the detail in the river is excellent in this image. So let's keep this one in.
19 is in. Number 20.
I struggled with this because it appears to be taking a photograph of someone else's art. And when you do that, you have to bring enough of your own originality to make it your photograph instead of a document of someone else's work. This is nicely captured. The focus is good. The lighting is well handled. But I can't help but be bothered by the fact that it's something that isn't doesn't seem to be made by the photographer to be his or her own unique image. So let's take this one out.
20 is out. Number 21.
I thought that as I looked at this image, I kept finding myself thinking what the photographer must have been thinking, including that wonderful 3 up in the top left corner is something I would have wanted to do as well as the arrow pointing down with the 795 and a photograph down of the train station. Really gave it a nice depth of field. I kept wanting to see down the track, either by being on the left of the platform or moving down on the right so that I could angle my camera down. Unfortunately, that would have ruled out the 2 signs, so I don't know if that would have worked or not. But it's an interesting photograph. It's well done, and it clearly was thought through when the photographer took it. So let's keep this one in.
21 is in. 22.
What an extraordinary face. I thought this was absolutely wonderful. The fact that he's not looking at the camera doesn't bother me at all. In fact, it might bother me if he were looking at the camera. It's like he's in his own world and looks like it. I tried to understand or figure out what the item was he was holding with the reddish ribbon or string on it, but it seemed to have writing of some type on it, but it was beyond my ability to figure out. It was a nice capture, cropped beautifully. The background is nicely darkened. I might even consider darkening a little more on the background on the right, but the other thing I would consider is a little less saturation on the red above his head. But it's really an extraordinary image with an absolutely memorable face. Very well done. Let's leave this in.
22 is in. 23.
White Sands is such an interesting area. This photograph captures some of the feel of it, and particularly things that I thought struck me, where I liked the idea of a panorama. It more readily, more reasonably sort of gives you the feel of the location. The sand at the bottom is a necessary part of it, but didn't actually feel like it belonged in the image. I think if the photographer had been a bit lower or a bit farther back, probably farther back, because lower you wouldn't see all of the mountains and rocks, but farther back so that we had even a little more of the sand could be quite interesting. I would also play with the sky some. There's enough of a pattern in the sky that you could possibly have the sky almost replicate the shapes of the rocks in the mid area of the photograph. I I would need something like that or something particular to focus on if it were to be an image that I came back to or wanted to stay with. As it is now, it's an interesting, it's more than a documentary of the location, but it's not something that I would spend a great deal of time with. So let's take this one out.
23 is out. 24.
And this is another case of a photograph of someone else's art. I I like this as a photograph even better than the monochrome version. I think the color actually adds some depth and interest to it. But in the same token as the previous one, I think we'll have to take this one out.
Okay, 24 is out. 25.
Great shot. The the kayak and the wonderful color of the kayak really makes this. The the only thing that I would consider would be getting a whole bunch of dye and changing the color of the water. Just kidding. The water is what you've got. The the trees on the rock, the tops of them don't seem quite sharp. I'm wondering if perhaps there was a bit of wind and we've got a little motion blur, but it's not terribly distracting. And I think the kayak at the bottom is what makes this an original image, not just another picture of a beautiful place. So very nicely done. The sky treatment I found to be excellent. I think adding a dramatic sky to this image would be distracting. We have the kayak and the rock as the focal points, and we don't really want to have anything competing with that. So let's leave this one in.
25 is in. 26.
Wonderful. The way the owls are almost hidden with the same textures and lines as the tree that they're in really gives a feel for nature. It's not just a wonderful location and placement of the birds, but even the cropping, giving almost a frame to the birds by the bark of the tree, the light bark surrounding them is excellent. It would be really good if the baby owl in the front were a bit sharper. The eye doesn't appear to be very sharp, nor do the feathers on that bird's back. But it's such a appealing and interesting photograph that we definitely want to keep it in.
26 is in. 27.
The focus, the cropping, the composition of this are very nice. Um, it's it's an image I've seen a fair number of times in different areas. This is a particularly well done one with the lines emanating from the central figure. I think that part is excellent. The parts of what I assume is the stained glass window on the far left, it doesn't bother me at all that they're cut off. I think they probably should be. I would have considered erasing the little piece sticking out on the in the middle of the far left, but that's really just kind of a nit. Um, I keep looking for something that makes this unique, and the closest I can come is that the composition is what it is. And that I find nicely appealing. The colors, the sharpness are showing an excellent mastery of the techniques. So let's leave this one in.
27 is in. 28.
Quite a flock of birds. The this image, I found that it was interesting, but I really wanted to see the lead birds. I wanted to see what was at the front. And the birds seem to be going from right to left, although that's not universally the case. It would have been very interesting to see the lead and instead of just a complete band of birds. I think that the complete band sort of made it less interesting than if there were something like the beginning or having the birds flying toward me that I could focus on. This one, it's very hard to focus on anything. There's so much going on that it's almost confusing where to look. So let's take this one out.
28 is out. 29.
Interesting still life, and the shell on top I thought was a great idea. It took a while before I realized that the glass was almost filled with water. It was so clear. Nicely done, and still life images are challenging. Taking what I'll call a regular photograph that's not still life is a matter of finding something appealing and deciding when and from where to take the image. With still life, you have that as well, but you also have to design and create the image that you're going to take the photograph of. That adds a layer of complexity. This photographer did quite well with that. So let's leave this one in.
29 is in. Number 30.
I thought this was really an excellent thing to have seen. I like the way that the horse's hair had the same patterns as the reeds that the horse is in. I would have liked to have seen a little sharper on the nose or a little more of the nose. But the part of this that bothered me was that the eye wasn't sharp. And that, I don't know if it could be sharpened in post-processing, but it really needs to be tack sharp because that's what the viewer is going to be really looking at. A very well seen image and nicely captured, but we needed a bit more depth of field. It appears that some of the grasses in front of the animal and the hair itself might have been the focal point, the point of primary focus, and that needed to be the eye. So sadly, let's take this one out.
30 is out. 31.
This gives a real feeling of an old cemetery. I think the weeds or trees or whatever is growing behind it and what all is surrounding the tombstone gives it a feeling of reality, and that in many ways works. The tombstone itself, it's bright. It's perhaps a little too bright. I might consider darkening it some, but giving it a little more contrast on the face of the tombstone. That could bring out some of the patterns. But it's an interesting photograph, gives a real impact when you first see it. Let's leave this one in.
31 is in. 32.
The Ford Mustang, I thought that the swirls behind it showing that this is a fast car really worked. I don't know if the photographer added those or if they were part of the display. I guessed after a while it was a part of the display because I could see a reflection on the fender on the right side of the Mustang that looked like it was showing some of the same red and yellow streaks. Um, Without that, the streaks showing that it's fast, I think it would have been a nice photograph of a car, but not something that would capture one's attention or hold it for long. As it is, I think that it is interesting. The technical aspects are well done. Let's keep this one in for now.
32 is in. 33.
Such a wonderful face, and I love pictures of people. They really tell a story. It appears that the hair is in a fancy hairnet, and the hat is textured and has a pattern on it, and she's looking with a look that looks like she's looking into the future. The wrinkles add to it, but what really appealed to me was the jewelry that she's wearing. It made it more than just a photograph of an interesting person. This is another, however, unfortunately, that the eyes don't appear sharp, particularly the eye that's closest to us. And when focusing on a person, if you don't have depth of field to have both eyes in perfect focus, then it's important to make sure the nearest eye is in perfect focus. Um, I'm so sorry about that, but it's such an interesting photograph with the jewelry that I think we should leave it in for now.
33 is in. 34.
Startling. It's one of those images that when you look at it, it's looking back at you and you say, wow, wonder who he is and wonder what he's doing other than singing. Um, Very nice capture of a real personality. The handling of the background to simply darken it, make it virtually black, and let the hair stand out was a very good choice. I think the selection of the hair in Photoshop or whatever software was used was done beautifully. You can see every strand, and it stands out as a complete strand of hair, not just something that's kind of gray and fuzzy because the selection wasn't good. The most captivating thing, of course, is the glasses. That's what you see first, and that's what holds your attention. And I found myself paying attention to the reflection in the glasses. So very nicely done. Let's leave this in.
34 is in. Number 35.
Another still life, and as we said before, still lifes are challenging. I I thought the photographer had a wonderful idea with all of the colors and the various containers for the candies. I didn't find that this one was holding my attention for long. It had a strong initial impact because of the composition and the colors and the fact that the glass on the right is lying on its side. I thought that was a very good move. Um, I found that I wasn't wasn't particularly relaxed when I saw it, and I wasn't particularly excited, but I did find that it was interesting. I found myself paying a lot of attention to the colors, particularly of those on the table. So let's leave this one in.
35 is in. 36.
Um, this is such a wonderful area. I I've seen a great number of this type of image. This is a really good break in the stones. I'd I'd like to have the stones, frankly, darker because the photographer clearly realizes that my vision is going to go through the stones into the background. And yet the stones are so bright that that's hard to do. I also found that the bit of cloud at the top um, seemed to have blown out a bit. There's not real detail in those clouds. So if this were mine, I would play around with darkening the bright areas of the stone, perhaps adding a little bit of contrast to the dark mountain in the background, and even saturating the green grasses that we're seeing through the opening. So let's take this one out.
36 is out. 37.
Yeah, the title of this one amused me. I thought that's most appropriate. The angle of the photographer looking down on the bird. I think this could have been stronger if the photographer were down actually at closer to the bird level. Now, in doing that, you would have missed seeing the full bird, so the feet wouldn't have been visible. Although it does appear that the window is cracked. I suspect that lowering the window the rest of the way would have caused the bird to fly away. We need the eye of this bird, like the others, to be sharp and perhaps even stand out with a little more contrast. I would also consider adding a little bit of saturation to the beak and even blurring the background. The the photograph is the bird, and the background is sufficiently complex that it keeps pulling my eye away from the bird. So let's take this one out.
37 is out. 38.
Yeah, rushing water is such a thrill to look at and photograph. I had wondered when I think it was Ron mentioned that there is an abstract contest coming up. If you could simply crop this so that all we're seeing is the water and play around with the both the saturation and the contrast of the water itself. The the waves, the motion of the water is so exciting when you look at it. I think that that itself could make a fascinating image. I did find that the shore really didn't add anything. Um, you might want to consider darkening it a good bit if you're going to leave it on, and I can understand that you might want to leave a shore in for context. But I think that it's a little distracting, so I would definitely darken it and make the image about the water itself. So let's take this one out.
38 is out. 39.
Nice idea, nice image, nice capture. I think that the leading lines in this are just extraordinary. And the feel of the person walking with the umbrella and the amount of texture that the photographer left in the image is truly well done. The brightness at the end of the tunnel, along with the leading lines, just immediately pulls your eyes in that direction. One thing you might consider doing is that the person walking with the umbrella, I would consider darkening the person to make him or her a complete silhouette, but still leave the umbrella a bit lighter. The reason I do that is that the contrast between that person and the brightness behind him or her would make them stand out even more. But it's a beautifully done image and definitely want to leave that in.
39 is in. That is it. Let's see how many images we have. Okay, attribute. I have 25 images. Is that correct? I get thumbs up. All right, we have 25 images. We need to get down to 8 images. How would you like to go through? You want to go through again and do a quick round of ins and outs?
Can you make them a little larger?
I could do that.
Okay, I think I can identify ones to remove and see if we can get down to the right number.
Perfect.
So let's take out on the first row the second image.
Second image is number 3. That is out.
And we're going to have to do this in stages. On the second row, the first image and the second image.
First image is 13. That is out. And the second image is 15. That is out.
And continuing on the second row, let's take out the third image and the last 2 images.
Number 21 is out. And is it this one here, number 14?
Yes, that one.
Okay. That one's actually number 27 for us.
And that one.
And this one. And number 29 is.
Okay. On the last row, let's take out the first 2 images.
Number 32 is out, and number 33 is out.
And let's see, that brings us down to about twice as many as we need. So on the first row, let's take out the second image and just the second on for now.
That is image number 5. That is out.
On the second row, let's take out the. Oops, it moved.
I just moved it on. I just zoomed them out.
No, that's okay. Let's take out the first image and sadly the owls, the last image.
You want the owls and the tombstone?
Yeah. Well, I want the owls.
Oh, the waterfall.
And the
I'm sorry.
waterfall. That's okay.
That is number 12 and number 26 are out.
And now the tombstone. Oh, the tombstone disappeared. No, there it is. Let's take the tombstone out.
Number 31 is out. At this point, what we could do is, if you want to start placing, just awarding first through fourth and 4 honorable mentions, the rest can just fall at the end.
I think that makes a lot of sense. So let's go with the very last image, the tunnel as first place.
Number 39, first place.
The last image on the second row as second place.
Second place, that is 34, number 34.
The third image on the second row as third place.
That is number 17, third place.
The roses are where they should be as fourth place. And,
all right, that is number 1 of the roses.
And now we need 4 honorable mentions.
That is correct.
So give me just a moment. So for the honorable mentions, the Rustlers, the hot air balloon, the Renfest, and the kayak.
Okay. Well, honorable mentions for our score takers. Honorable mention to 8, 7, 22, 25, and that is a bingo. Okay, honorable mention. Here's our winners tonight. Honorable mention to number 25. I need the cheat sheet. Christine, please. Honorable mention to number 25, Bay of Fundy. That's Ed Sievers.
Province of New Brunswick, I think, north of Maine. And it's just pretty much a straight shot I took. I started working on the sky, but then I agreed with the critique there that leave the sky alone, not distract attention away. So thank you.
Very nice.
Yeah. We had a comment that the rock on the right looks like a bear. I was thinking the same thing, Al. Okay, honorable mention number 22, Ren Fair, and that is Diana Ledikin.
This was my first year going to the Ren Fest, and I was actually sitting down having a snack, and that striking gentleman got my attention. I was able to get a picture too before the moment passed, but yeah, that was it.
Perfect.
Wonderful. What did you find out what he's holding?
No.
Rats.
Honorable mention also number 7, Ascent, and that is Darwin Green.
Yeah, this was in California, and my dad got my son and I a hot air balloon ride, and I saw this and had to have it.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Honorable mention to number 8, Military Conflict, Colin McNaught. Is he on Facebook? Colin, if you let us know a little bit about this image, we'll come back to it and read it out for you. Okay, 4th place, image number 1, Polar Star Roses. That is Sarah Darrett.
I didn't do any post-processing on this. I might have cropped it a little bit, and I took it inside my house.
Very nice.
They were white roses.
3rd place, number 17, Pumping the Brakes, and that is John Crooks. Do we have John here? I didn't see him. Okay. John, if you were online, we'll be happy to read out your information. 2nd place is number 34, lead singer Don't Back Down Band. That is Gwen Neff. I don't see Gwen here either. And 1st place, Emergence, and that is Darwin Green, I believe. Yeah.
This was at a Herculaneum in Italy, and originally it was in color, but I increased the texture on the walls and the contrast and deepened the shadows and turned it black and white.
Really well done.
Is the person walking towards you or away?
Away. Yeah.
The person is walking away.
Merging into the sun.
Colin has comment on the Army match wrestling. For the wrestling match, Colin says the first attempt at sports photography at the Army Navy wrestling match.
Fantastic.
Nice.
Okay. Now for the unlimited category, I believe we have 65 of those. That means we have 1st through 4th and 7 honorable mentions. That's going to be a total of 11 images that are going to win a special prize tonight. So what we'll do is we'll do the normal thing. I'm going to go ahead and go a little bit faster through reading them, and then we'll go back to number 1 for your comments and ins and outs.
And I'll try to comment a bit faster.
Perfect. Number 1, brushes. Number 2, Old Faithful. Number 3, Seabird. Number 4, dishes. Number 5, yummy beech nut. Number 6, unbroken focus. Number 7, concentrating. Number 8, snow-cap hummingbird. Number 9, Shea engine 6. 10, perched anhinga. 11, geyser overflow. 12, puppy dog. 13, dark journey. 14, Civil War musicians. 15, waiting for spring. 16, sharpshooter. 17, a rose is a rose. 18, Miss Dixon. 19, puddle wonderful. Number 20, stripes. Number 21, on ice. Number 22, the end of the 1,000-year journey. Number 23, lines. Number 24, gaudy glow. Number 25, 11 coming in. Number 26, desert sunrise. Number 27, late summer's eve. Number 28, immerse love. Number 29, eye to eye. 30, bridges. 31, ibex dune. Number 32, this meeting shall come to order. Get that out of there. Get out of there, mouse. 33, Florida ibis. 34, guard dog. 35, wormhole. 36, Cades Cove Methodist Church and Cemetery. Number 37, golden play. 38, hummingbird in spring. 39, water lily. Number 40, Shady Point Shoal Lighthouse. Number 41, Blackwater Sunrise. Number 42, Kites. Number 43, Winter Moon Dance. 44 is Harbor Silence. Number 45, Mount Fuji. Number 46, Scarlet Macaw Mayhem at the Tree, maybe? Number 47, Slam Dunk. Number 48, Heron Portrait. Number 49, Shaped by Wind. 50, Dew-Covered Bee. 51, Beautiful Landing. 52, Fish Swirlsing. 53, Nature's Canvas. 54, perched. 55, tricolored heron. 56, man versus Death Valley. 57, longhorn companions. 58, feeder full of finches. 59, Route 66, Coke. Number 60, all puffed out. Number 61, raising the veil. Number 62, carved by nature. Number 63, morning watch. Number 64, sipping nectar. And number 65, a moment on the steps. I'm going to go all the way back to number 1. Wish you all the best of luck and turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you. Very nice feeling about this image. The colors work beautifully together. I love the fact that they're subtle and soft, and the photographer did an excellent job with the vignette. I think having a vignette that's not the typical dark gray or just gray is good. I also thought that the fact we had the diagonal feeling added a feeling of motion, a feeling of more interest in this image. Let's keep this in.
Number 1 is in. Number 2.
I thought this was an almost. I would have loved to have seen the top of the geyser, and the clouds themselves on the brightest part seem to be quite blown out, which bothered me, since the clouds and the geyser are what the image is all about. So we'll need to take this one out.
Number 2 is out. Number 3.
It's a very good heron image. I'd like to see a little more contrast. It feels flat to me, and it's so easy in Lightroom or Photoshop Camera Raw to select the subject and add some texture and some contrast to the subject, and also to remove some of the contrast from the background. But it was well seen. I'd like to have been able to see the bottom of the foot, since we've got almost the whole bird there. So let's take this one out.
Number 3 is out. Number 4.
Interesting. I struggled with this for a while because I was trying to figure out what the photographer was trying to say, what the photographer wanted me to look at and be impressed by. And I decided the shapes and even the reflections on the bowls themselves were actually quite interesting. The very top of the background, I'd like to have that totally black. I think it's a bit of gray, which doesn't add quite as much contrast and let the bowl stand out as it would if they were completely dark. There were a few little bright spots on the bowls, particularly the top bowls on the left and right, just little dots that I suspect are natural, but I would erase those because they pull the viewer's eyes to those particular spots, and you really want the viewer to be focused on the shapes. I like what the image is sitting on. I think the board was an excellent choice. Let's leave that one in.
4 is in. Number 5.
Fascinating. The colors in the bird are extraordinary. I actually went to Google to look it up and be sure that those were the right colors. And they definitely are. They may be a little saturated more than natural, but that that works. I would consider darkening the background a bit, but not darkening the branch that the bird is standing on. I think that's an integral part of the image. What I especially like is that the bird is not just standing there, but is actually doing something, eating the beech nut. Very nice. Let's leave it in.
5 is in. Number 6.
Wow. Talk about excitement. The expressions, particularly the woman on the left, absolutely wonderful. And the timing with the legs, just going over the hurdles was outstanding. I don't know how many images this photographer had to take or what kind of burst speed he or she had, but they really nailed it. I would I would have to look at it, but I would consider slightly darkening the background even more than you already have, but not a great deal. There's enough of the two runners. They are sharp enough. They stand out enough that you don't need to darken it much, but I think they would stand out even just a little bit more. I think the cropping, the composition works beautifully in this. Let's leave it in.
6 is in. Number 7.
Um, One of the things that concerned me with this image was that it appears that the hair seems to have a bit of a halo around it. And that's such a common thing if you do a Lightroom select subject and Lightroom doesn't do a perfect job, which is often the case, and then you brighten the subject and darken the background, you get that halo. And that bothered me a bit. It also appeared that the man, he has a wonderful face and his concentration is outstanding. But he almost appears a little over sharpened. I don't know that for sure. It was just a feeling that I had. But let's take this one out.
7 is out. Number 8.
Very, very nice. Even though it doesn't have a berry in its beak, it's a beautiful bird shot. And the branch that it's standing on is wonderfully lit, along with the bird. The feathers are sharp, the eye is sharp, and the beak is excellent. The head feathers, the whitest and brightest area, still have some detail in them. They aren't blown out. If this were mine, I would do one small thing, and that's the branch right at the tail. There's a branch that looks like it's just under the top tail feather, but above the bottom tail. And it's a little bit bright. I would darken that, then I would get it printed, framed, and hang it on my wall. Very nice. Let's leave it in.
8 is in. Number 9.
A feeling of real motion. I liked the fact that we're looking at this angle of the train and that the photographer left room for the train to move forward and left the smoke, which is a key part of this image. The detail in the train is excellent. The trees, it almost looks like there's too much texture in the trees, but the train is so sharp, and the feeling of the train moving down the track is so excellent that I think we're going to leave it in. I would like to bring up one thing, and that's on the top left. I had mentioned selecting things in Lightroom or Camera Raw not doing a perfect job. It looks like perhaps the sky was selected and darkened somewhat, but it did not get all of the sky because there is sky showing between the branches that's a little brighter than it perhaps should be. There are easy ways to fix that, but this is a very nice image. Let's leave it in.
Number 9 is in. 10.
Excellent. The position, the shape, the the branch that the bird is standing on. I love the branch. It really ties the image together. And the cropping for this photograph was well conceived. I think having the branch go out to the right was exactly the right thing to do. There's a bright spot just behind the birds, the wing on the right as we see it. I might darken that a little bit and let the bird stand out away from the tree even more that way. But very nicely done. Nice image. Let's keep that.
10 is in. Number 11.
Um, I struggled with what to focus on with this image. It was interesting in that it's an interesting statement of nature, and it appears that the geyser overflow has pretty much wiped those trees out. But there was nothing that really captured my attention and made me focus on it. I found myself looking around and around. Um, so let's take this one out.
11 is out. Number 12.
This was very amusing, very well seen. Things that I would consider doing. I would like to see the dark side, right side of the dog, as we're looking at it, brightened enough so that he stood out from the baby carriage a bit more. He's actually got some detail in there, and I think it would be quite straightforward to bring out his fur. The other thing I would consider is darkening the background because the bright sidewalk and even the crosswalk are fairly distracting. It was a clever image, but it almost really worked, but it needs a little bit more post-processing. So let's take this one out.
12 is out. Number 13.
This is such a captivating image. I love the idea of frames within frames and leading lines of the path that's taking you back to the slightly brighter green area at the end of what appears to be a tunnel, but I think it's just a walk. Very nicely seen. The photographer did an excellent job positioning herself or himself. I would consider the bright water on the bottom left side. I would darken that a bit, as well as darken the water just to the bottom left of the second frame. But I think the image really works well, and I love the feeling that it's almost trying to suck me down that path. Very nicely done. Let's leave it in.
13 is in. Number 14.
A captivating couple. I think the woman is, and her expression, the look on her face, and the man's outfit really made this image, along with their concentration on what they're doing. I'm not sure if the tent is too disruptive, but I kind of overlooked it. I would consider darkening or erasing the notebook at the bottom where the man's feet are because it's so bright. But it's such a pleasing image. Let's leave it in.
14 is in. Number 15.
Beautiful colors in the bird. I did wish that the bird's head feathers and eye were as sharp as the tail feathers seem to be. That bothered me a lot. I think the idea of waiting for spring, standing in the snow was excellent. The snow's a bit bright, but since the only thing of color in the photograph of significant color is the bird stands out just because of the colors. The lack of sharpness on apparent sharpness on the eye and the head feathers is a concern, but let's leave it in for now.
15 is in. Number 16.
Fascinating image. I think monochrome works really well for this. If this were in color, I suspect the man's shirt would be a vibrant shade of something, perhaps red and yellow, and we'd have a lot of green behind him, and all of that would distract from the man's face and the gun that he's holding. So that was an outstanding choice. I almost like the fact that the man isn't looking at me as he's holding his gun. It works, and his hat is perfect for this image. Let's leave this in.
16 is in. 17.
This is a nice shot of a rose. I think the photographer did a good job with focus and the color balance and the color, including the deepest parts of the rose. There's nothing about it that makes me excited because I think we've all seen so many pictures of beautiful roses. I kept looking, hoping to find an insect or something that would let it stand out. I found what appeared to be a tiny little fly on one of the petals toward the top, but that really wasn't quite sufficient. So let's take this one out.
17 is out. 18.
And wonderful image. Such a good capture. The lighting in this is just extraordinary. I particularly like the fact that I can see the sort of an outline of her head by the very, very dim light of the hair on the left side of the image, the left side of her as we're looking at it. I thought that the pearls that she's wearing made a nice statement and added a great deal of interest. I also liked the way that her dress or sweater or top stood out enough from the background. I thought that was handled quite nicely. I would consider giving just a little more light on the left side because I'd like to see a little more of her hair, assuming that there's more there that I am not seeing. It appears that there's a bit that it would be good to have a little detail in that, but it's excellent, very well done, very well post-processed. Let's leave it in.
18 is in. 19.
Very clever. I thought that the using the inverted image to show the reflection worked quite nicely. I think most people, it took a moment to realize that it was a vertically flipped image. My first thought is that I was looking through some fuzzy glass at a Ferris wheel. The things that I would consider changing, the thing that bothered me most were the feet and legs of the man on the bottom left corner. In fact, that corner, it would be nice if that whole dark area, including the feet and the shadow of the man, were simply erased. That's the one part that didn't seem to fit. All of the rest seemed to work as a reflection. But the idea was very clever and it was well handled. Let's leave it in.
19 is in. Number 20.
Striking. I love the lighting in this. The fact that the top is brighter and it goes down to dark areas, and yet you can still tell that they're red, although that could just be because you saw the top was red. And the contrast between the bright streaks of, I assume, lights of some type Very well done and very original. The part that I was a little confused about was the the two lights or ropes or whatever they are at the top, particularly the right two ropes. The one on the left of the right pair seems to sort of disappear as it gets to the top, or almost looks like it's going through the stripe. I wasn't sure what that was all about, but it's a fascinating image and well handled. Let's leave it in.
20 is in. 21.
Nice. This is one that would be a good image to submit for the landscape monochrome coming up. Um, I would do a couple of things. I would crop a bit off the bottom. The water isn't the photograph. The photograph is obviously the mountains, and I like how you handled the mountains. I assume that what we're looking at is ice coming down the mountains, and then the white streaks are snow on top of it. Interesting situation. So, other than cropping, I would leave the sky about where you have it. I don't think you want to have the sky compete with the mountains, and I think cropping would add to the importance of the mountains and their apparent size. Let's leave it in.
21 is in. Number 22.
And I like the glacier coming down and the path that it's taking. This is another one I would consider cropping, and this time on the left. I would also do something else after cropping. The water itself is so bright and has so much texture that it almost stops my eyes from moving on back into the real heart of the photograph. So I would consider, if you're a Lightroom or Camera Raw user, using the linear mask and putting it at the bottom of the water and moving it up to the top of the water and darkening just the part of the water that's closest to us. That way you would sort of be pulled into the image, and I think it would be another one that you would have a really good shot at an award in the monochrome landscapes. We'll keep it in.
22 is in. 23.
Interesting architectural image. I thought the shapes of the buildings and the reflection of the building were well seen and well handled. I kept trying to decide if the building on the right that's behind the rounded building, if the vertical should be actually vertical. That might be something to play with. This is another case that I think perhaps the photographer did a select sky, because if you look just to the left of the building on the right, where it intersects with the sky, it appears that the purple and the brightness kind of goes up, so that it wasn't a perfect selection. But nonetheless, it turned out to be a really nice image and very well conceived and seen. So let's leave it in.
23 is in. 24.
Spectacular. Wow. You look at this and the concept of gaudy really works. The thing that I found most appealing was clearly the colors and the various patterns. The thing that concerned me was that I found myself always focusing on what appear to be beads in what I guess is a form of some type of light. And the beads that are closest to me are the ones that I focus on, and they're not sharp, which is a shame. It appears that the focal point for the camera was the circles in the area behind the lamp. Those are tack sharp, but the beads are a bit fuzzy. Nonetheless, it's such an interesting image that let's keep it in for now.
24 is in. 25.
a dynamic image. It's one that I like the idea of the train coming out of the smoke and fog, and it makes it clear that it's moving forward, that the smoke coming out of the old chimney is flowing backwards. I would really like to see some detail at the front of the engine. It's almost totally black and kind of dissolves into the background at the bottom, right in front of it. Also, it would be nice if the smoke both on the left and at the top had a bit more detail in it. So let's take this one out.
25 is out. 26.
Yeah, beautifully done. I think the light rays, I assume we had a small aperture on the camera, really work, and it makes it appear that the light rays are specifically lighting the vertical cactus on the left and the cactus on the ground in front of us. They might even be a little brighter than would be natural, but it still works quite nicely. Let's leave it in.
26 is in. 27.
A very serene and beautiful image. I think the reflection and the color of the reflection is so calming. The way excuse me, the way the trees stand out from the sky, very nicely done. It was a really excellent selection. I don't see any halos or fringing. I've seen other images similar to this, but this is certainly one of the best ones that I've seen. Let's leave it in.
27 is in. Number 28.
A very cute scene, very sentimental, and I thought the title was most appropriate. I would suggest that perhaps you might add a little more contrast. It's it's not terribly flat, but it's a little bit flat, particularly the little birds at the bottom. Could use a little more detail, and some contrast would make that happen. But well seen and well captured. Let's leave it in.
28 is in. 29.
Very cute. The thing that impressed me when I first saw this was how well the little girl stands out. And it's because of her brightness and the colors, and the position of her hands on the aquarium glass are perfect. So it's a sentimental moment, and one that when the little girl is grown, you should save this because she'll treasure it forever. I couldn't find any significant thing that I would change in this. It would be nice if I could see a little more of the girl's face, but I don't know how that would have happened. The current cropping has the are they manatees, whatever those are. Both of them are showing, and they're in an excellent position. Let's leave this in.
29 is in. Number 30.
A startling star. It's almost impossible to look at this without your eyes first going right to the intersection of all of those various pieces of steel. That's captivating and really draws your attention. I found after my eyes went there, I started to see the bridge behind it and the clouds, which were nicely handled, and the trees. A well seen and well done image. I don't know that it's one that I would come back to over and over, but it's so well done, I want to leave it in.
30 is in. 31.
Leading lines are extraordinary. I think not only are the ruts in the sand leading you to the dunes, but even the clouds seem to point to the dunes. I think the uh, only thing that I would try, and I don't know if this would work, I think that the dunes themselves, the ones that we're looking at as the focal point of the image, could use a little more contrast. They're almost totally plain, and I'd like to see a few little shadows in there, and it looks like there are shadows that could be brought out. But beautifully seen, well done. The camera angle is perfect to capture those leading lines. Let's leave it in.
31 is in. 32.
Quite an amusing shot, and the title makes it even more amusing. Well done. I think the things that I would consider doing, I think there's a little bit of sand at the front that could be cropped out and a little bit of the water that could be cropped out. the the animals themselves, the fact that the mouth is wide open, and I love the fact that we've got some color in the mouth of the boss who's running the meeting. It's a nicely seen. It was very fortunate to find this. Let's leave it in.
32 is in. 33.
I thought this ibis was excellent. It's such a striking bird. And I understand the intent to keep the full reflection. When I looked at it and cut off the reflection, part of it, I found that it really let the bird itself stand out further. The the photograph is really about the ibis, and the reflection, while it's interesting, isn't isn't something that makes the photograph. So if the photograph were cropped probably just above where the bird's body is reflected, I think that could work quite nicely. But it's a nicely done photograph. The bird is beautifully done. Let's leave it in.
33 is in. Number 34.
Yeah, another reflection that's makes it wonderful. I think that to me the image here is the dog and the man's feet and shoes. And I would significantly crop it so that what we saw was not the reflection of the man. I would minimize that, but leave the reflection of the dog and the leash and crop out most of the body of the man. One thing that worried me about this image was the man's hands and, in fact, face in the reflection looked like they're red, and that didn't feel natural. But if you cropped it just below the hands in the image and perhaps just above the hands in the reflection, that would resolve that issue and make quite an interesting photograph. As it is, I think it's well done. Let's leave it in. And
34. 34 is in. 35.
yeah, this one gave me vertigo. I thought it was well done. I think we've all seen this type of image, but this one is particularly nice. The spirals are extraordinary, and the lighting that the photographer used and the monochrome really pull you down into the bottom. So very well done. Let's leave it in.
35 is in. 36.
This is such a feeling of ancient times. The hard, uncomfortable pews in the church and the cemetery outside really make quite a story. I like this a lot because of the feeling it gives. It's clearly at least a relatively old church, and you know that it has stories to tell, and the image itself tells a very nice story. There's nothing that's exciting about it, and I find that my eyes keep coming back to the pews and their color and the textures of them. So I'm not sure that there's anything other than the tombstone outside the window that would be a focal point. But it has such a great feeling when you look at it. I want to keep it in.
36 is in. 37.
It's a good title and very clearly a cute little boy. I found that the sun reflection on the water was really a bit too intense for me. I thought that the idea of having the young man with his water toys walking out toward the sun was excellent. But that intensity of the blown out whites reflecting in the water and the intense orange, I thought that perhaps the orange, yellow orange, might have been real. It's possible that that's the actual color, but I would have been tempted to desaturate it a little bit nonetheless. Um, a good idea. I like the bucket on the bottom left, but let's take it out.
37 is out. Number 38.
Spectacular image. The pastel colors in this just work beautifully. They make a real statement, and they allow the hummingbird to stand out magnificently. I love the fact that the hummingbird's wings, only the very tips of the wings seem to show any motion, and the motion is good. It makes it a dynamic feel to the photograph. Beautifully done. I can't think of any suggestions to improve it. I thought the cropping of keeping the flower at the top left completely in the image was very well chosen. Definitely keep it in.
38 is in. Number 39.
I found this confusing to decide where I wanted to look. The purple blue lilies at first attracted my attention, and then the green spikes on the left. I like abstracts, but this one didn't feel right. It didn't give me anything to settle on. It was a little bit confusing. Um, so let's take this one out.
39 is out. 40.
Yeah, magnificently done. I like the simplicity of this image. The sky is just handled perfectly. It's got such an appealing shade color to it, with the horizon being slightly darker. I thought that the water was handled beautifully. I think the shutter speed on the camera was well chosen. It appears that it's long enough to slightly soften the water, but not completely remove the texture in it. Um, Very well done indeed. Let's leave it in.
40 is in. 41.
When I first saw this, all I could think of is, oh my God, I hope this isn't going to be a jigsaw puzzle. This would be a complete nightmare. It's a fascinating image. I, I wasn't sure where to look, but when it comes to something that's exciting to look at, this whole image just yells that. Very, very well captured, because almost everything is in focus, which is astounding given the different depths of the birds and the obvious motion. I if there were something that I could focus on, I would really love this. I think that there's a grouping of the birds in the middle that are flying toward the right, a group of about 5 or 6 or 7 birds that perhaps could be accentuated with changing some of the lighting, and that might do something amazing to this. As it is, I think we're going to have to remove it, even though it's such a fascinating shot.
41 is out. 42.
Nice. This is another case of the sky being handled exactly right. Some small detail in the sky, but nothing that's going to distract from the colors and the sharpness of the main kite. I loved having the two kites in the background. I thought that really made this a unique image, not just a photograph, a good photograph of a kite. It doesn't bother me that the tail of the kite is cut off, and I don't know why it doesn't bother me, but it doesn't. I think perhaps it's because the key part of the kite is the top, and you've got the strands coming down from the kite, and you've got the kites in the background. So everything about the image is in the upper half. So losing the tail, it's just a minor thing. Very nice. Let's keep it in.
42 is in. 43.
I never could decide if this was a composite. It almost had to be. It was very well done if it is a composite. The people, both the ones at the top of the rock on the right and the ones at the bottom of the rock on the right, add a good bit to the image to me. It's what makes the image something that I continued looking at. I would consider darkening the brightest areas of the rocks. I think the photograph is obviously the person walking on the tightrope on the moon. And we want the rocks to frame that portion of the image, but we don't want them to pull our eye away from the focal point. Nonetheless, it was very, very nicely captured, very well seen, very well imagined, and let's leave it in.
43 is in. 44.
Another peaceful scene. I had some initial mixed emotions about um, the line, the pipe, whatever it is, running up through the, I assume, reflection of the sun on the right, and decided that it really didn't matter. So I like the feeling of this and the cropping on this and the handling of the sky is very nicely done. The this image is one that needed the frame that it has, and I think that the various pipes on the structure uh, give it a great deal of interest. There's a small sun flare that's not at all distracting to me, so let's leave it in.
44 is in. 45.
Mount Fuji is rather spectacular. I think this is a well-positioned photographer. The mountain is obviously what the image is all about. The buildings at the bottom need to be there for context, but frankly, I think they're a good bit too bright. Again, I would consider, as we did with one of the water images previously, using a linear gradient and running it up from the bottom and darkening the buildings, but leave them there. Don't try to do anything with them. I would also consider selecting Mount Fuji and adding just a bit of contrast to it so that it feels even more three-dimensional than it currently does. The sky, I think, is very nice the way it is. I think you've got some good detail without the sky being detracting from the mountain, which is obviously what the image is all about. Let's leave this in.
45 is in. 46.
Wow, colorful and a lot of activity. I thought this was fascinating to look at, but confusing at the same time. I think just about the time I had decided that there were 3 macaws, then I saw a 4th one in the back, and I kept looking around to see if there's a 5th one and didn't find one. I think the this would be a much stronger image if there were only 1 or 2 of the beautiful birds. The confusion is a visual confusion, and I think that hurts the image a bit. So let's take this one out.
46 is out. 47.
Nice action shot, perfect timing. The post-processing was well done. I can see that the photographer uh, either had a depth of field that was just right or blurred the background a bit and also darkened any bright areas. So that was nicely handled. The man's expression is excellent in this, and that's what makes it. It's also important that the ball be in the picture. Otherwise, it would be somebody hanging from a basketball rim, period. So I think you captured a very interesting moment in sports. Let's leave it in.
47 is in. Number 48.
Herons, especially their heads and their feathers and their long curved necks, are wonderful birds. This is a good capture of the heron, the important part of the heron. I do think that it would really help this image though to have the heron stand out more than it does. I think the background could be significantly darkened and uh, perhaps even blurred a little bit. You might even consider cropping some on the left because the background on the left is the most distracting portion. And you need to have a little extra room in front of the bird so that it doesn't feel crowded. It was a good capture, but I think it could be improved with some post processing, some additional post processing. So let's take this one out.
48 is out. Number 49.
Nice calm scene. I think that the 3 trees and the fact that they're leaning and almost supported by the reeds. I love the bird in the water on the bottom left. That was very well handled. I am a little concerned about what appears to be a lot of noise in the sky in particular. Um, I I don't know why that's there. There are so many excellent bits of software and filters that can take care of that for you. I would suggest looking into that and seeing if you can eliminate the noise unless you intentionally put a texture back there, which certainly is a possibility. Nonetheless, it's such a calming and beautiful image. Let's leave it in.
49 is in. Number 50.
Yeah, the dew on the bee really works, and I think the way that you set the depth of field, the aperture for this, really works to give it a really nice feel of a background. Very blurred, and yet the bee and the flower are quite sharp. Even the parts of the flower that aren't real sharp don't really matter. What matters is the portion of the flower that's closest to the bee and that the bee is holding on to. Let's leave this in.
50 is in. 51.
An exquisite bird shot. Um, I think the timing on this was just perfect. The almost touching the water and the wings open as they are. The framing of the bird and the background, how the background moves into a blur was just extremely well done. Let's leave this in.
51 is in. 52.
Interesting. I found the fish going around the 2 fish in the center particularly fascinating. The I don't know if this was made looking up perhaps into some sort of tank. Um, Captivating and interesting. It's the fish, particularly the main subjects, the fish in the center, don't appear to be perfectly sharp, and that's a concern. I think they really need to be. They're highlighted by the light behind them, so they're the obvious first thing and most important thing that the viewer's going to look at. So let's take this one out.
52 is out. 53.
A nice nature scene. I love waterfalls, and this is a good one. I think um, the streaks. It's almost like the photographer added a lot of contrast or texture to the waterfall to give those streaks. I couldn't decide if it was naturally streaked as it is, or if that was an artifact of the processing. But it's a nice image. I like the way that the photographer included the pool at the bottom, surrounded by the rocks, and the trees offsetting the waterfall itself. So let's leave it in.
53 is in. 54.
Yeah, I kept seeing this and seeing that twig coming out on the left, and every time I looked at it, I thought that was the bird's tail, and it took a moment before I realized we're looking at a twig. It's an interesting capture. I think the bird is almost in the right position. It's the thing that bothered me a bit about this is that it seemed like the image was almost of the perch instead of the bird. It might be interesting to either have a stronger telephoto or crop in a bit more so that we're really focused on the bird, and that the perch, which stands out beautifully from the background, isn't so dominant. So let's take this one out.
54 is out. Number 55.
Nice heron image. The fact that he's got that drop of water on his beak, and the wonderful branch that he's standing on, and it appears he's standing just with one leg, which they do, of course. Very well handled. The blurred background is excellent. It's blurred enough that the heron stands out. I think I would consider darkening it a little bit so the heron is even more standing out in three-dimensional. But it was a well-done photograph. Let's keep it in.
55 is in. 56.
I tried to get a feel for this. I couldn't tell if the image was about this man. My eyes kept going to the man, but there was so much going on in the rocks down below him that every time I would look at him, my eyes would then flick back down to the rocks at the bottom with all of their texture and lines and bright and dark. So it's really interesting and well thought of, but I think we're going to take it out because I think the man needs to be the focal point of the image.
Okay. 56 is out. 57.
Nice. I thought the position of the Longhorns was excellent. I do think that the trees stand out nicely. They give us a mid ground. We've got the foreground of the Longhorns, and then the trees, and then we have the sky in the back. I'd like to have a bit more contrast for the Longhorns. I think you could do that in a number of ways. You could either select the Longhorns themselves and give them contrast, or you could even darken the grasses that are around them, and that would be fairly easy to do with some masking. But it's a nicely seen picture, beautifully cropped. And I think the position of the animals is excellent. Let's leave it in.
57 is in. 58.
Interesting. It's looks almost like an apartment building of finches. I think the the finch. This is a both an interesting and an amusing image. It really says something about bird feeders that work. Uh, I found that the background was nicely blurred. That was well handled. I think the birds stand out enough that you don't need to darken the background anymore. I didn't find that I would return to this image or continue looking at it after my eyes had gone around and spotted all the birds. So I needed something that was going to hold my attention longer than that. So let's take it out.
58 is out. 59.
And really interesting idea with the Coke and the reflection. And this is a case that I think the reflection was very important to include the entire thing. The one thing bothers me about it, and that's that the background has so much color and brightness and activity that my eyes try to stay attached to the cup and its reflection, but there's just so much else going on that it's hard to focus on any one thing. So I think we'll take this one out.
59 is out. And 60.
Yeah, it's time for a cardinal. Uh, nice bird. I like the fact that it's all puffed out, and I love the branch that it's perched on. I think that's very nice. I think the other branch and branches are very distracting, particularly the branch that's in front of it. It's both bright and out of focus, and that hurts the image a great deal. So it was a nice shot of the bird, and the twig it's sitting on really works nicely. But the rest of the branches, and particularly the one in front of the bird, hurt the picture a great deal. So let's take this one out.
60 is out. 61.
Fascinating. Um, I looked at this several times and never did quite figure out what I was looking at, but it's one that works. His outstretched arms uh, really give this a feeling of almost motion, excitement, and he's obviously reaching hard to reach up there. And even though I don't know what we're looking at, I think that it works quite nicely. The background seems to have a texture, and even the foreground does. It's fine that this image isn't sharp. If it were sharp, I think we'd be more critical of it. As it is, it's an impression of some activity in some person. Let's leave it in.
61 is in. 62.
Very nice. The water rushing into the pool and the rocks that are around the pool are very appealing. This is one that I think I would want to actually make the water a bit brighter, the water that's flowing down from the bottom left. And I would definitely darken the rock, not the rock around the pool, but the other rock, the rock on the right corner and on the left corner. I think that hurts the picture a good bit because they're so bright, and I really like the feel of the rushing water flowing down into the pool. So let's take this one out.
62 is out. 63.
Beautiful bird picture. The lighting in this one is extraordinary. And it's another image that the photographer did an outstanding job with the depth of field. The background is excellent. There's nothing that's distracting, and yet it isn't boring. I think the one thing I might consider doing is I think the eye could be made give it a little more contrast so that it stands out a little better. But I think that it's probably sharp, judging by the fact that the neck feathers are so sharp, as well as the stump and the grasses on the stump that it's standing on. Let's leave this in.
63 is in. 64.
A good position for the butterfly. I liked images looking straight on at butterflies. I've seen quite a few, and this, instead of the butterfly standing out, there's so much brightness going on what almost look like snapdragons that the butterfly is on, that I find those distracting. The background could be muted a bit on this, and that I think would help significantly. So let's take this one out.
64 is out. 65.
Interesting. I looked at this and couldn't decide at first if she was going upstairs or downstairs, and I finally decided it didn't really matter. The thing that impressed me on this was that the first thing that you look at is the woman. And it appears that she's tying her shoe, so I decided finally she's going upstairs. The stairs are quite interesting. I did have one issue with the image, and that's that on the left, if you look at the vertical line made by the leftmost stair, it's almost vertical and not quite. And that may be true on the right as well, although it's more obvious on the left. And if you have lines that look like they should be vertical and they drastically aren't, that can work. But if they're almost, it looks like you simply overlooked it. And I found that quite disturbing on this one. So an interesting idea. I like the position of the person and the fact that her bright white outfit makes her stand out. But let's take this one out.
Okay, 65 is out. Let's see how many we have remaining.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Come over to here, come over there. And I have 45.
Okay.
Okay. 2 people have 44. So we're going to go over through the numbers real quick to get our internal people fixed.
Okay.
Here's the numbers I have in. I have 1, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 13, 14, 15, 16, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 38, 40, 42, 43, 44, 45, 47, 49, 50, 51, 53, 54, 55, 57. 54 is out. That's my mistake.
Yes.
So we're no problem. Okay, now we're all caught up.
Okay.
Well, I don't know if I'm going to be able to put these all on the screen. So do you want to do another real quick run through?
Yes, and I'll just do an in row.
Perfect. Here we go. 1.
Okay, let's take that one out.
1 is out. 4.
In.
4's in. 5.
In.
6.
In.
8.
In.
9.
In.
10.
In. I'm not doing too well at this.
13.
In.
14.
Out.
14 is out. 15.
Out.
15 is out. 16,
In.
18,
In.
19,
Out.
19 is out. 20,
Out.
20 is out. 21,
In.
22,
In.
23,
Out.
23 is out. 24,
Out.
24 is out. 26,
In.
27,
In.
28,
Out.
28 is out. 29,
Out.
29 is out. 30,
Out.
30 is out. 31,
In.
32,
Out.
32 is out. 33,
In.
34,
Out.
34 is out. 35,
In.
36,
In.
38,
In.
40,
In.
42,
Out.
42 is out. 43,
In.
44,
In.
45,
Out.
45 is out. 47,
Out.
47 is out. 49,
In.
50,
Out.
50 is out. 51,
In.
53,
Out.
53 is out. 55,
In.
57,
Out.
57 is out. 61,
In.
63,
In.
and that is it. All right, let's see how good we did. We got it down to 26. Is that correct, counters?
So I think we can work with that. And how many did we need to get down to?
11.
11. Okay.
So I have everything on the screen right now. If you'd
All
like to
right.
see something a little bit different, then let me know.
Nope, I'm good. So let's drop out the first one on the first row.
The bowls, that is number 4, is out.
And let's drop the train fourth one on the first row.
That is number 9, and it is out.
Let's drop the number 8 on the first row, the last one.
That is number 21. That is out. I'm gonna see if I can stretch it out a little bit for us.
Okay.
No, need another 1 or 2 out before I can do that.
All
Okay.
right, we can do that. Let's get rid of the fourth one on the second row. That's number 12, that one.
That is 33,
And the staircase, the next one.
35,
And the pews.
36. I'm gonna go ahead and there we go.
All right. And we're down to 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we're down to 20. Let's get rid of the first one on the second row.
That is 22,
The dunes on the second row.
is that one here?
Mhm.
31,
The last two on the second row.
49, and 44.
And now what are we at?
16.
Okay.
We can either get rid of 5 more, or we can start placing.
No, well, let's do 5 more. Let's drop the last one on the second row.
43,
Mhm. And the first one on the third row.
55,
And the mystery figure, first one on the third row.
61.
Let's see. So we need two more. One more, two more.
Two more.
Two more. Okay. Let's get rid of the fourth one on the first row. That one.
10.
And the next one. The fourth one on the first row.
13.
Yep.
Okay.
So, and we have first, second, third, and how many other places?
First through fourth and 7 honorable mentions.
Oh, okay. So,
I can't without them kind of coming off the screen, unfortunately.
yeah. So the first one, the bird, is an honorable mention.
Okay. Honorable mention to number 5.
The third, or now the second one, the bird on the first row, is an honorable mention.
Number 8 is an honorable mention.
Beautiful, though. The cactus is an honorable mention.
Number 26, honorable mention.
The man with the gun is an honorable mention.
Number 16.
Now let me do first, second, third, and fourth. The first is the hummingbird, the fourth one on the first row.
That is 38, first place.
The second place is the last one on the first row.
Number 51, second place.
And third place is the first one on the second row.
Third place, number 63.
And the fourth place is the fifth one on the first row.
Fourth place, number 18. And the rest will go to honorable mention.
And I have never had a time before that I've had bird images in first, second, and third.
Okay. We're ready to go through and let's find out who our winners are for tonight. Honorable mention to number, Christine can give me the cheat sheet. Honorable mention number 26. This is Desert Sunrise, and that is Tim Hugson.
This is Arizona, I think a place called Peralta Canyon, and it was experimenting with a 10mm lens, so I was very close.
Very cool.
Honorable mention to number 16, sharpshooter Ron Piper.
This guy was a reenactor at, and I can't remember the name of the place down in Virginia anyway. Did a really excellent job, and he posed for me about 20 different ways, and this is the best I could get out of that.
Very nice, Ron.
Thank you.
Honorable mention number 5, yummy beech nut, Tammy Gorsak. I think I saw Tammy online. Tammy, if you give us some information on your photo, we'll read it when you get it to us. Honorable mention as well to number 8, snow cap hummingbird, and that is Kathy Hockel.
That was taken in Costa Rica, and actually that's a very elusive bird that people come from all over to find, and I just had the good fortune to capture it.
Wow, it's striking. You really should print and frame that one.
Since we're so close, Tammy says online, this is a grackle in her backyard. Hundreds flew by, lots of beech nuts. This year we had so many. Honorable mention to number 40, and this is Sandy Point Shoal Lighthouse. It's Mike Thomas.
It was a very cold morning last month on the J. Fleming outing. We circle that lighthouse, so I have it in all kinds of different shades and colors with the sun behind it, et cetera. So that this pastel look just seemed to hit the right note.
Really spectacular.
Honorable mention number 27, Late Summer's Eve, Cheryl Kerr. See if Cheryl can give us some information online. We also have honorable mention number 6, Unbroken Focus. That is J.C. Williams.
Yeah, that was taken, I guess, back in December at the Naval Academy at their indoor invitational track meet. And I do agree with the judge that the background could have been a little bit darker, but on my screen, it really looked a little darker. But anyway, it was at the Naval Academy. It was I forgot now. Well, I was shooting with either the 70 to 200 2.8 or the 35 to 150 or 2.0, and I was shooting at 20 frames a second naturally. So, and this is several shots, but this is the one I picked out because the arms are all in the same position, the feet in the same position, and I just love the look on both of them face.
Yeah, perfect timing too.
4th place, number 18, Miss Dixon. That is Fred Venetia.
I agree with you. I did shoot, I had 4 lights, and I liked the first light, and I build it up from there. And I do have one with another light on the other side, and I got another light on the other side, and a light on the back. But I particularly liked that one, the look that she had in her face. And the way the light wasn't on her glasses, I had to move the light to get it just right. But it worked out pretty well.
Very nice.
3rd place, number 63, Morning Watch, Dawn Grannis.
This was taken at Blackwater on a sunrise morning when we were down there.
2nd place, number 51, Beautiful Landing, and that is J.C. Williams again.
Yeah, that was taken, I guess, during the ice storm a few weeks ago. It was at Bourbon Lake, and what I was really doing, I was testing out a new feature, not a new feature, one of the features on my camera I never used before called Highlight Weighted. That's to keep from blowing the highlights out, and I just wanted to try it out. So I just figured a gull would be the best thing to try it out on. But it makes the rest of the image real dark, so you have to bring up all of the background and everything. And that is ice that the seagull is landing on.
Wow. Well, whatever you did really worked.
And our 1st place winner, number 38, Hummingbird in Spring, Catherine Rush. Catherine, you've got until Christine recaps our schedule to get your information to us to let you know, to let the crowd know what your image is. Christine, do you want to talk about the schedule coming up?
Don't forget to join us on, I believe it's Sunday at Jerusalem Mill Village and Covered Bridge on March 15th. On March 19th next week, join us for our program by our very own Bob Weber on abstract photography. And we will see you next week.
Going to give Ron the microphone. We're going to thank our judge for this evening.
And Pete, wanted to give you some special thanks tonight. This was a marathon job, and I have no idea how you made choices on this. An awful lot of goodness. So thank you so much for
Thank you, Pete.
comments.
Well, one quick comment. I've judged for your camera club several times, and I'm always impressed with the images, particularly the unlimited group. Tonight, I was especially impressed with novices as well. I mean, there are some excellent photographers.
Great work. Thank you very much. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.